begin the video. I want to welcome everybody and thank you for coming. Our new shul, Keter Sion, we've been here for a year and a half, Baruch Hashem already, and lately we have with us Rabbi Sova, and we want to have more shurim more often. For those of you who don't know, the purpose of this shul is young people, young generation, Sephardic especially, but everybody is welcome, of course. So if you know anybody in town, if you know anybody who's looking for a shul, any new Sephardic, or anybody who's looking for a place that is Bnei Aliyah, Bnei Torah, people who's looking for more, for growth, and if you're interested in more shurim and stuff like that, with Rabbi Sova, we're going to have starting more of those, more often, hopefully, and nothing else. Just thank you for coming, and Rabbi Sova.
Thank you, Aaron, for the introduction. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my wife for making the trek out here, and my son Aryeh, and my mother-in-law. Thank you for being here. And also to my uncle Leon and cousin Mordechai, and friends and people who came. Off the Ivory Coast, there were a number of scientists who were traveling on a boat, and as they were getting off their boat, they saw a whole school of fish who looked quite peculiar. They never saw a group of fish like this before. And they dropped their nets, they cast their nets into the water, they pulled out, and it was a fish that they never saw before. It was a very unique species. When they brought it on board, they cut into it, and after they cut into the fish, they started doing a few scientific reports on it, and they noticed it was basically a superfood. This fish contained within it a lot of nutrients, a lot of vitamins, a lot of very necessary components to make it a superfood. And they were beyond words to bring it back to the scientific community, to let everyone know about this wonderful thing. When they brought this super fish back to the United States of America, and they started marketing it, so a number of people started vying for the production line to produce this super fish. And there were a group of Jewish people who found out about this fish, and they started marketing it as well. Well, what happened was, one gadol, one great person, he found out about this fish, and unfortunately he saw that this fish had a halachic problem. He saw there was something a little, excuse the pun, but saw something a little fishy with this fish, and he did not think it was so kosher. So he refused to give it a kosher certification. However, another gadol, another great wise man, he saw the fish, and he deemed it to be absolutely no problem whatsoever. He said, no big deal. So some people went with yes, it was a problem. Some people said no, it's totally kosher. And like any good Jewish argument, there were a bunch of people who went one way and the other. The problem, unfortunately, got exacerbated when people found out that the rabbi that said it was kosher, lo and behold, his grandchildren were very involved in the fishing market. And they actually owned a fishing company, and they were the sole provider to make sure that this fish comes out to the Jewish market. So everyone said, you know why people are buying and you want to buy this fish and everything? You got a little hand in that. So that's why this gadol, the grandfather, he said what he said. Because this fish is going to give you great profit. With this made-up example, we can understand what exactly the argument was between Boaz and all the other people in subsequent generations with Ruth. What was the question? Ruth came from the Ammonite and Moabite nation. People said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem says in the Torah, he says that anyone that comes from this nation, no good. You cannot bring them to the Jewish people. Why? And this was the debate. Asher lo kidmo etchem belechem uvamayim. They did not bring us bread and water. Now the question was, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu mean when he said that? Did he mean all of the people from Ammon and Moab, they're rotten to the core, and we can have nothing to do with them because Asher lo kidmo etchem belechem uvamayim. So that means there's a fatal flaw in these people that inherently there's something wrong with them. They can't be with us Jews. Or is it the men who normally go out? They are people who are very fearless. They will go out into the desert. If you've ever been to the Sinai desert, you'll see that the conditions there are horrible. and if they are willing to go out and see there's a group of people there, only the men have that fatal flaw, but not the women. And lo and behold, the Gemara tells us that when Boaz decided to tell everyone this wonderful halacha, this wonderful law, that it's only the men that have this fatal flaw, not the women, was guess what? It was the day he decided to marry Ruth. And everyone said, you found yourself a nice Moabite woman, huh? So that's why you said that. And people actually said that that was the reason, so much so, that when David HaMelech, much later on, he was the great-grandson of Ruth, when he was being pursued by his son Avshalom, and he was being on the run, Shimi ben Gera, who was the Rosh Sanhedrin, he was the Gadol Hadar. Imagine, Maran or Rabbi Yosef Zatzal. He sees you running away, God forbid, from your own child who's trying to kill you, and he took rocks and threw it at David HaMelech, and he says, you deserve what's coming to you because you're not even supposed to be a king because you're not even Jewish. And this is the Gadol Hadar. We're not talking about somebody who people actually believe that he was not even legitimate. So this was a long-standing argument. So I'd like to share with you the following. 7 questions, don't worry, we're going to answer all of them, and we're going to be out of here before 9 o'clock, Bezat Hashem, right? There's a reason why people like coming back here, because we say something and we try to keep to it. Question number 1. What exactly was the machloket, the argument between Boaz and everyone else? Is it that the men versus the women? Exactly what's going on? Question number 2. Why is it that whenever we say, Ruth, she's the great ancestor of who? David HaMelech. You know something? If I were to make the Midrash, and I want to make it a little bit more dramatic, I would say, Ruth is the ancestor of Mashiach, or Shlomo HaMelech, who made the Beit HaMikdash. Why exactly are we stressing it by David? Why are we stopping there? You've got a whole line of succession of kings. Why are we stopping specifically by David HaMelech? It seems like we're stopping right there. For what? And also, what does Malchut have to do with Shavuot? We always want to talk about Malchut, we want to talk about kingship. What does that have to do with Shavuot that we specifically read this Sefer specifically now? Also, is there some inherent laws that we learn from Megillat Ruth? The Gemara tells us, Reb Zeiro says, you should know something, when we read the Megillah, we open it up on Shavuot and we start reading it, you should just know there are absolutely no laws that we learn from here, no tumah v'tara, no ritual purity laws, no isur v'hetar, nothing of consequence. What's the reason why we learn it? Ella, rather, it's coming to teach us something else. What? So we're going to explore that as well. Question number 4. When we come to the davening, the Shemona Esrei, we always know there are 3 beginning prayers and the 3 bottom prayers. Those are immutable. You can never change those 3, no matter what. I always tell people it's like a sandwich. You always got to have the top layer and then the bottom layer. The middle is always what makes it different. Unless you eat at my mother-in-law's home, then she makes exotic food. But the point is that usually a sandwich is you have 3, you have the top layer, the bottom layer, everything in between is totally different. When we say the first prayer, if you look in all Sidurim, it's a unique thing. It's called the prayer of Avot, the prayer of our forefathers. So if you read the prayer, it sounds a little strange. It goes, Elokeinu, our God, Velokei Avotenu, and the God of our forefathers. We say Elokei Avraham, father of Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, father of Isaac, Elokei Yaakov, and we're extolling all the virtues of them. So when we end the bracha, it should be Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed you Hashem, Magen Avot. And that's what we're talking about. Or Magen Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov. If we're extolling the virtues from before, why suddenly do we say Magen Avraham? Why are you saying only one? He's just the beginning. Continue. Why are you stopping? Why is it Magen Avraham specifically more than any of the other ones? Question number 5. What does the beginning of the Torah and end of the Torah, what is the common thread? And with that we can learn that everything from the beginning to the end tells you the middle as well. And that's a very prominent law that we can learn for Shavuot as well. Also, from David HaMelech's time and on, anytime a king wanted to be coronated, it had to be done in the capital city of Yerushalayim. Why was Yerushalayim chosen more than any other city? Especially if the Jewish people never had a capital before, up until King David said, this is where it's going to be. Why didn't they do it in any other place? What inherent abilities does Yerushalayim have more than any other place? And the final question is, what could be another possible reason as to why we eat milk at a Seudat Yom Tov on Shavuot, when we know the Gemara tells us that when a person wants to have special food, It should be done with meat and with wine, either together or separately, or something that you enjoy. But the point of the matter is, for some reason, Shavuot is sort of, it's something that's unique, that we allow people to have milk. What is the reason for all that? So, we're going to see it's going to tie in very nicely. You're going to see. To understand this, before we give any of the questions, I would just like to bring everyone's attention that tonight's shiur is l'zchut l'refuah shlema for Zahava Bat Sara Necha, Mrs. Zahava Goldwasser, who we said some urgent tehillim tonight for her. Her situation is very, very, very precarious, and we need to keep her in our thoughts and our prayers. So today's shiur should be a big zchut for her, and anything that we accept upon ourselves, Be'ezrat Hashem, should be in that merit. When David HaMelech, he was told that he came from the Moabite tribe, people even said, you have the characteristics of such a person. Why? You love to kill. They said that your hands are full with blood, you cannot even build a temple, you're like a Moabite. What is that supposed to mean? So the Medrash tells us that the Moabite people, the Ammonite people, technically they were cousins of ours. However, unfortunately, they went off the deep path, and they, unfortunately, became very wicked and very cruel. They took all the feelings of love and empathy that they should have had, and instead of focusing on that, they did not focus on that, and they totally moved it away and looked askance as if nothing was happening. So therefore, that was the argument that the people had. People said, if you come from Ammon and Moab, you can take the girl out of Ammon and Moab, but you can't take the Ammon and Moab out of the girl. If she has somebody that comes from such a family or such a thing, their characteristics are so flawed, we don't want to have anything to do with that. Why? Because the Jewish people are known to be Gomlei Chasadim. They're people who we always care and we empathize. We feel chesed for all people. And a person who's a big Baal, someone who's a Baal or Baalat Chesed, someone who's always looking for opportunities, the best opportunity you could ever have in your life is when you're put in a position of prominence, you are someone who's a leader, Hashem is giving you the tools that you could decide where people's futures could actually go. And someone, if you look historically, the people who are known to be benevolent kings and people who are known to be people who loved throughout the generations were people who used their power to help other people unequivocally. And those are the people that we say is going to be a melech. That is the real king. And with this we can understand the idea of ein melech below am. We think that means that if you want to be a king, you have to have people following you. It's got nothing to do with people following you. If you want to be a real king, you got to want to give to other people. You want to help other people. I'm looking for opportunities. Where can I help another person? Such a person who's looking for opportunities to help another person will be somebody who's a true king. And that is somebody who we say, when they're looking to help other people, that's a melech, that's a king. With this we can also understand a perplexing Gemara. With this we can understand With this we can understand the Gemara that tells us we have an argument. When it comes to every Yom Tov, we say, well, it says a Yom Tov has to be La Hashem. It has to be for God. So you got to come here to the Beit Midrash, Beit Knesset, you got to sit and learn, you got to be in a high spiritual plane. Then another Gemara tells us, no. You want to do the Yom Tov right, you want to do the Chag right, it has to be Lachem. You got to eat, drink, spend time with your family. So says the Gemara, which one is it? It sounds like the Gemara is schizophrenic. Is it La Hashem or is it Lachem? Says the Gemara, you know what? We'll do it the Jewish way, which is we compromise. We'll do it together. Chatzir LaHashem, Chatzir Lachem. Half for God, half for you. We put them together, except for one Yom Tov, except for one Chag. And what's that? Shavuot. Shavuot, where we accept the Torah, a completely spiritual matter. And if you ask most people on the street, you say to them, if it's a completely spiritual thing, and Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, gives us the Torah, what would you think it would be? Kulo LaHashem, all for God, that we stay here in the Beit Midrash, or it's Kulo Lachem, it's all for eating? Most people would say, LaHashem, you got to be spiritual. Says the Gemara, no. You know what it is? When it comes to Shavuot, Kulo Lachem. Enjoy your family, enjoy your time. Ask the Gemara, what are you talking about? It's counterintuitive. It should be all LaHashem. The answer is, if you want to be really spiritual and you want to tap into something, it's all about giving to the other people. You spend time with your family, you spend time with your wife, with your husband, you spend time with all the people that are closest to you, you actually become godlike. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Yehuda Goldstein from Dallas, Texas, he told me that one time he was waiting online in Tom Thumb, that's the equivalent of Publix, and suddenly gets a tap on his shoulder as they're going boop, boop, and they're bringing up all the stuff that he has. Gets a tap on his shoulder, turns around, he sees somebody, he's like,